toy.
We're wanted men.
I have spoken.
It's gonna be a long one.
That's what she said. How's your trip going, man?
It's all right. It's fine. Yesterday sucked. I decided to go out to Disney, and there wasn't much out there. And I just wasted like 3 hours. No, it was closer to 4 hours for nothing.
You didn't
All I
enjoy
got-
it? Did you not enjoy
What?
the Disney ambiance?
It was too crowded.
Really?
And I was tired. I mean, I went to Disney Springs, but after flying and then flying into Tampa, driving out to Orlando, trying to find the things that I want, wasn't available. People were everywhere. COVID is just in the back of your mind, like coronavirus, like it's gonna attack.
Nobody got time for that.
No, and then so to cheer myself up, I'm like, I'm gonna get some Godiva ice cream, and so nothing makes you happy than sugar high. And so I tried to get Godiva ice cream, and there was a line for that. It's like 25 minutes. It was a virtual line. So you like scan this QR code and they say, come back at this specific time. So it's 25 minutes. I'm like, all right, fine. So my wife wanted me to go to the World of Disney, which was a 20-minute wait. I get into that. I'm like, I'll just see if they have the thing my wife wants. And then I'll run out over to Godiva. And then as I'm waiting in the World of Disney, that line for Godiva starts chopping in half to like 5 minutes. And I still have like 15 minutes left in World of Disney. So it was just crazy. And then I basically went home empty-handed. They didn't have the droids that I wanted from the Droid Builder series. But you know what? I'm just chilling in a hotel room right now. There's no kids. I don't have to tell people to get ready for bed. I don't have to go take trash up. So I'm doing fine.
Awesome.
How about you?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Can't complain. We finally getting our fence in after like a week of not having one because had to have it taken down, and with 2 dogs and having to walk them, and you can't just throw them out in the backyard for 30 minutes. It gets annoying.
Do you have like wild animals back there?
We do. We've got a pack of deer. There's probably like 15, 20 deer, and they keep growing every year.
No. But nothing like coyotes or anything like that.
Not that I'm aware of. I know there's
Okay.
people that say, on the Nextdoor app, every now and again, there's a wild coyote running around, but I've never seen one.
They said that for a while in my neighborhood, but I've never seen it.
I think the wildest animal that was seen, I think Mandy was out with the grandbabies and they saw a raccoon at like noon, which I've heard that's not a good thing.
Is it rabid then?
Yeah.
Doesn't know where to sleep?
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's what people have told me, that they're rabid if they're out at noon.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Time
Mandy's
to have
back
a
here.
fun run.
Yeah. Mandy's back here making office reference.
Yep.
Mandy's in the background making noise, putting up some more crap she bought. So did you get it off of
Yeah,
Macari?
Toylanta.
Nope. Some more Macari finds, not Toylanta. All our Toylanta stuff actually got put up right as we got home. So
Oh, very nice.
yeah,
What did you pick up from Toylanta?
I got a page of freaking Toylanta stuff. Are you ready? Do you have a nice iced tea and
I have water.
water? Take a sip because it's gonna be a minute. You want to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Wake me up when you're done.
I got a Wampa because it was cheap, and I guess I'm going to start army building Wampa, which army building means you buy a shit ton of them and just collect that one figure.
You're talking Kenner Wampa, right?
Yes, a Kenner Wampa. Whomper. That's redneck
Whomper.
Georgia right there. Whomper.
I got a Whopper from
Yeah.
BK.
From Burger King.
I got a Burger King Wampa from Kenner.
Yeah. Then I got a die cast, one of the Disney die cast I don't know if it came from a Disney park or from a store or Disney store, but it was a snow speeder and a Slave One. They're again cheap, so why not?
Mm-hmm.
I made a trade for the Mando Loyalist Black Series. Yeah, which was
What'd you trade for?
I had a couple of card backs, 20 backs that were I'd upgraded, and they were, they weren't the best condition. And the dude was like, "I want some 12 backs, but I don't want to pay for them." And he had a Mando Loyalist sitting right there. So I said, "What do you want for the Loyalist?" He goes, "I trade you even." And I said, "Sold."
Cool.
Yeah. My wife found a Action Fleet Heir to the Empire set.
Yep.
You told me was the first appearance of Thrawn in toy form. So
yes,
that's cool.
Yep.
So that was cool. I kind of been wanting one, and she surprised me with it. So yay! So that's a win for her.
Yeah,
she's back there, so she heard that. I got my biggest find, which was I was the most happy about, is I found a Billy the Kid from Bill and Ted from the '90s or early '90s Kenner line.
Yeah.
So I was able to check that off. So now I need like 4 more pieces to complete that run, which I need the Genghis Kong, the Abe Lincoln, and then they did a party 2-pack. Actually, I need 3. They did a 2-pack party thing, and then they did a phone booth, and they did some kind of cassette recorder with an amp. But the phone booth is, I think, the hardest piece to find. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Party on, man.
Yeah, party on way. Party on way. Jesus.
Well, that's the wrong one. Excellent.
Excellent. I found some micro figures, just a couple of loose things that were sitting in a bin. And the guy there again, when somebody tells you it's $4 for 2 micro collection figures, you just say, put them in a bag.
Bag it. Taking it home.
Yes. I got a couple of 12-inch Blues Brothers. My wife picked those up for me. I found some Back to the Future cartoon stills. We were chilling out in the lobby, getting ready to leave, and I got a phone call from Blake. You need to come back here and check these out. And the guy had some Back to the Future cartoon stills from that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I was able to pick up a Mark and a Doc. And
cells from
cells from the cartoon. Like where you could, awesome. They're actually like painted backwards or whatever.
Yeah.
What else? I picked up a Fett 40th Black Series, which there again, cool. The dude had just almost retail price on it once you added taxes and everything in. So that was stupid to let that pass up.
It's a decent card too.
Yeah, it's a nice card. It's the same one as the 21 back card, which is not the desert scene, the one where he's just shooting the fire. And actually, I was at a panel about the rocket firing Fett, and they showed them taking the picture for that. And it's just the dude standing in front of a white background, and all he does is like put his arm out and then does the thing like he's shooting the rocket. So it's not even it's not even a real flame. Right. Well, you could tell it's airbrushed. Yeah, you could tell it's airbrushed on the card, but there's no drama to the picture. It's just sort of there. You think it would be this great picture, and it's not.
Nope.
And then last but not least, oh no, there's 2 more things. So sorry. Last but not least, I got a lot of heroes, galactic heroes, which there again, it's one of those where if it's a good price and they got a bunch of them, I'll make a deal and just buy them all, throw them in the pile. And then I got the last issue of the Marvel Star Wars comic. I think it's issue number 107.
Which, cool.
Yeah. I wanted it just because it's such an oddball piece of art, because it's off the top of my head, I think it's got Chewie and Lando and Luke and Leia and maybe Han and R2, and they're all dressed like they're ready to go party, which is totally different than what we're used to seeing them. Yeah. So I had to pick that up.
And they're in weird colors, like pinks and yellows.
Yeah, it's a very vibrant piece of art.
Yep.
So
very cool.
Yeah. Did you get anything?
I went in with $0. I walked out with 50 and 2 action figures. So that's a pretty good toy show.
Awesome. Did you sell them? Go ahead.
Yeah, the toy swap. Yeah. What I did find, so there's I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. There was the carbon freeze chamber playset from the vintage collection, has a stormtrooper in it. Mm-hmm. in order to get the Stormtrooper, I have to open the box. And I don't like opening things when it comes to Star Wars stuff. And so the dude was just selling the Stormtrooper for $20. I'm like, yeah, I'll take that. So I don't have to buy another one and wait for it to go on clearance and all that stuff. And so I got that. And then at the toy swap, some dude was selling from I think it's the 30th, no, not the 30th, Saga collection. It was like a pair of Jawas, and that was the last figure that I needed to finish that collection in that line. So I got that. So
nice.
Yeah. It's a pretty cool toy shop, toy swap.
And it kind of adds to it when you just got a pile of crap that you want to trade and no cash. So you got to, it's a little game when you get to that point.
It's funny because we all started setting up and we're setting up all our Star Wars stuff. And some guy comes in at the last minute and like, we're out of room, dude. You got to go to the next room. So he goes to the next room. But it's almost like we kicked him out because he was selling like only McFarlane Spawn stuff. It's like, this is the Star Wars room. You go over there with your McFarlane Spawn stuff. You don't belong in this room.
I noticed that.
Who brings McFarlane stuff to a Star Wars toy swap?
I don't know.
There's a free space to sell toys. You didn't have to register or do anything.
Right. That was a cool swap. I would have liked to have been in a lobby, but they put us back in a room, and I think it was pretty successful.
It was. They just put us in the back corner. Nobody knew. And it was just weird that they shut the thing down at 6. They shut down the toy show at 6. Everybody left, and our swap was at 7.
Yeah, I didn't even pay attention to that.
People would have to come back to participate, which was a problem at lunchtime because nearly half the convention left at lunchtime to get lunch because they had to leave. And I know we're going to get to this, but they never came back.
Right. And I didn't even think about that. Wow. You're right.
So let's break down Toylanta 2021.
So Jason, this was your first like major, except for Celebration, which I don't really consider Celebration a toy show.
It's a Star Wars show.
How did you enjoy it? What were your thoughts? We can get into your thoughts with the COVID and the distancing and everything too, but just, why don't just first thoughts that don't even get into the COVID stuff. Just first big toy show. How was it?
I thought it was a lot of fun. I had a blast.
Awesome.
I came home energized. I mean, there was just so much that I did and participated in. And just the interview that we did with Derryl DePriest and Rich Alot, the panel that we sat on, and we did the vintage Star Wars panel. That was awesome. The only issue I had, are we getting into issues or?
Yeah, we can get into that. We can do that.
Okay. Yeah. The only issues was there's a lot of G.I. Joe stuff. And it felt more like it was still Joelanta than Toylanta.
It did feel this year like there was a lot more Joe stuff. The only thing I could think of is in years past, they kind of kept the Joe stuff to the main hall or main room. And you kind of knew the Joe stuff was together in years past. And this year it felt like they kind of got spread out. So maybe that's the issue. And you also knew, hey, this is the Joe room. You kind of stayed at the perimeter. The Joes were a lot more concise or condensed in years past.
It also felt like they outgrew this space that they were in.
It really did. I think truthfully, I would have liked to have seen this space last year before pre-COVID. Because that main room where they had a lot of the Joe stuff, you could have probably put 3 or 4 more booths if you would have done it right.
Maybe that's it.
You just me judging it because they had a lot of space between some of that stuff. And I think like it just felt like there was a lot of wasted space in that room, but I think they just done it that way because of COVID, or maybe they didn't, but then it doesn't make sense because they had really small rooms that were packed.
Yes. And that big room that you're talking about over in that corner where Retroville, that place was packed.
Yeah.
You couldn't move over there. But on the other half of the room, you could, I don't know, do jumping jacks and spread out and not hit anyone.
Yeah, you're right. They probably could have just shifted that whole room over a couple of feet and made a lot better use of it.
What'd you think? Let's drop the atomic bomb. What does Glenn think?
I have no complaints with the Toylanta staff. I think them handling it in a pandemic and putting on a show in a pandemic was an incredible task, an incredible undertaking. And Toylanta the Toylanta staff did an incredible job. They lost, didn't lose, but one of the main driving force behind it, Martin, he had stepped down 6, 7, 8 months ago. So they had to have a bunch of people step in for him and, take over the reign and just losing like your second or third in command, that'll affect things. And I don't think Toylanta lost a step. I think, they treated the club very well. We had a very nice spot right next to the bathroom versus in previous years where we were just, we weren't an afterthought, but I think we were just sort of, there was a table, there was a space. So here you go. Where this year Dutch was like, no, I wanted you guys to have room and be able to congregate and not have to worry about things. So he had us right next to the only working bathroom, which, that was great.
Yeah, that's another problem.
Yeah. Well, I'll get down to my list here in a minute, but Toylanta was great. I did feel like there was a lot of Joes. I felt like I found out where all the Black Series ended up that you can't find in stores. Ended up in.
I mean, that's the story I play in the back of my mind. There was this past weekend after Toylanta on Sunday, Jordan Duncan posted on the Georgia action figure group or whatever that the Canton Walmart had 3 Bo-Katans. So I jump in the car, I drive 20 minutes up there, and they are all gone. And I'm like, who in the hell needs 3 Bo-Katans? Anyways, yeah, exactly. So they could take it back to Toylanta.
Right, probably. Okay. No matter what toy show I go to, if I have friends there, I'm going to have fun. It could be a crappy toy show and you sit down and talk to somebody for 20, 30 minutes and it makes your day. And it was awesome seeing people that I haven't seen in over a year, or 2 years. Some of these people I hadn't seen in 2 years because with Toylanta being canceled and all the shows being canceled, it's been 2 years since I've seen some of these people. It was good seeing, it was awesome seeing club members that were getting out and about that we hadn't seen in a while. Tony, what he said, it's been a year and a half since he's been out and about. It was good seeing people. It was good seeing faces, good seeing people that hadn't got out and in a while. It's good seeing. Yeah, I think that one booth, the Retroville booth, or Retro Toy, whatever, I don't know what the booth, I can't remember their name, but they had some like 4 proofs, Revenge of the Jedi proofs. That was cool to see. He had some incredible stuff.
That was very cool. Yeah. Agreed.
That was the best high-end booth they had there.
That was I think the only high-end booth, right?
Yeah. Well, that's sort of what Toylanta is. You don't get a lot of the high-end stuff there. It's a lot of mid-grade, stuff. You get the people with the, like we said, $5 bins, and they sell that stuff out and they do good. And then you got people that can sell the high dollar stuff and do good. I think I would have liked to have seen more Star Wars stuff, maybe a little bit more higher end stuff, but I thought they had a ton of loose stuff. There was one guy on either Saturday or Sunday. I was sitting talking to my buddy Ryan and Blake, and somebody walked by with a sealed 3PO case. And I was like, damn, that's a find. Jerry comes up to me like the next day and goes, that booth in the corner? I was like, yeah. He goes, they had a sealed 3PO case for $75. And I was like,
What? Wait, yes. Is it Power of the Force 2?
No. Vintage. Return of the Jedi sealed 3PO case for $300. I mean, $75.
What?
Yeah. And I'm like,
what?
I would have bought. I mean, there was a rip in the cellophane, but for the most part, it was sealed. I mean,
it's essentially sealed.
Yeah. So,
is it a problem that 2021 oxygen touched the plastic?
I don't know. But there was stuff like that. And then I was looking through that one guy's booth, the retro whatever, and the guy had a box Slave 1 in there. And I'm like, what's the deal with the Slave 1? He goes, oh yeah, somebody bought that already. Somebody there at the booth had bought it at the show, and it was going to their collection. And I was like, how the hell did I miss that? I was at the show at like 5:00 that afternoon going through the floor, but I'm also one of those where I'll look at a booth, and if I don't see what I'm looking for, I move on to the next booth. I don't spend a whole lot of time Whereas my wife is the finder, and she'll dig through stuff and will take the time, where I try hitting it fast, but maybe I think I need to learn to slow down.
Yeah, well, it's also overwhelming to be surrounded by all these awesome pieces. You don't know what to focus on.
Right. Well, it was so bad. I turned around. I looked at this one booth 3 or 4 times. I turned around and asked the guy in the next booth, "Hey, do you have any Bill and Ted stuff?" And he goes, "I don't, but that guy does." And I turn around, and it's a booth that I'd just been at. And the guy's like, "Here, I have Bill and Ted stuff." And I'm like, "Dude, I looked at your booth 3 times. Where the hell were they?" And he's sitting right here. And I was looking for that stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go to ICC and be like, "Do you have micro machines? Do you have micro machines?"
Dude, that's the way to do it. Just be.
I'm going to have to.
You just ask, and they'll be, that's the lesson I learned. Always ask if you don't see it, because that's what they do. They'll hold stuff back, and that way you get a fresh booth every couple of hours as stuff sells.
Yeah.
And then there was another guy downstairs. He had this bookshelf that that had it had a 3PO, a R2D2, and a Darth Vader topper on it, where I thought they were part of the bookshelf. And I'm like, "Man, that bookshelf's awesome." And he goes, "Thanks." And then Sunday I go by his booth, and I went, "You sold, what happened to R2D2, all the Star Wars stuff on top?" He goes, "They sold." And I'm like, "How much did you sell them for?" He goes, $10 a piece. And I turned around and cursed, because I was like thinking I would have bought them for $10 a piece, because they were just, oddboard corkboard stuff. And I was just there on Friday night commenting on how cool the thing looked. And the homeboy didn't even say, "Hey, they're for sale. They come apart. They're yours if you want them." And it was aggravating.
Yeah, just a little bit. You want to talk about bathrooms?
Yeah. Sorry, somebody just messaged me. I'm here.
Oh.
I'm here.
I thought you were
somebody
like crying in the corner that you missed out.
Yeah, it was upsetting. Yeah, so other than the one room feeling lopsided, what's your negative thoughts?
The bathroom thing was frustrating, because at one point some of the stalls weren't working.
Yeah.
But I mean, COVID being COVID, I'll take that out of the equation for right now.
Yeah, take the COVIDness out of we're going to just talk general. We'll talk COVID in a minute.
There's just no place to eat. I mean, I got there at 10. I got there when the show opened, and I had no problem finding parking. And then I did the booth duty from 11 to 12. And that's when Jerry showed up and said that he spent just as much time trying to find a parking spot than he did driving to the place, which I think was about 40 minutes, if I remember right. If I remember that number right.
Yeah.
And so I was afraid to leave for lunch. I'm hangry because I need to eat, and we have the panel coming up, and I didn't want to be hungry on the panel. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to leave, because the risk is I won't find a parking space. So some of that was playing in my head. But they should have just had something on site.
Yeah, the understanding with that was because I'm a member of like the Toylanta group on Facebook, and somebody had made a comment kind of berating it, and the guy that's kind of second in command now had made a comment that the hotel, well, talking to Dutch, talking to the other people that had run the show, they were upset about the lack of bathrooms, because they had the bathrooms, but all the men's bathrooms were under construction but one. Who the hell puts on lets a convention come in your room, in your hotel, that is going to be 75% men and only have 5 stalls?
I thought it was 4, but anyway, yeah.
You have 4 or whatever. There were 3. Yeah, no, it was 5, because you had 3 stalls and 2 urinals.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal.
So then there again, this is on the hotel. This is not on Toylanta. It's on the hotel. The hotel sold Toylanta a bill of goods, and they didn't come through with it. So yeah, and then periodically through the day, every few hours, it felt like, because the staff there again was overwhelmed. The hotel was underprepared when they had to shut the bathroom down, because you're in COVID. You should never run out of paper towel in a bathroom. They were running out of paper towel, running out of toilet
Yeah,
paper. Urinals were overfilling. You know, I feel bad for the staff because they were overwhelmed. You know, you look over at one point from the fan table and there's a garbage can that's 3 feet. You know, it's a 50-gallon garbage can and it's overflowing by 3 feet.
Yeah.
That shouldn't happen.
Nope.
COVID be damned at this point. It's just common sense. You don't let a freaking garbage can overflow by 3 feet and let it sit there for hours. It just...
No. It looks disgusting. That's SeaWorld quality right there, ladies and gentlemen.
According to Toylanta, the hotel said no outside food or drinks. Well, then you better freaking supply me food and drinks. So if you're not going to allow food and drinks, you better supply it. And there was none.
Typically, that's why they say that, is they force you to buy their food and drink.
And I would have been more than happy paying extra for a hamburger. You know, I'll pay $5 or $6 for a hamburger because so I won't have to leave.
Yes.
You know, you're going to pay a convenience fee, and I have no problem doing that. But, you know, if there's not available, what you're going to do? So Toylanta didn't really enforce that rule, you know, the food and drinks on the floor or outside food and drinks. But I did hear that there was a lot of, I did see it a couple of times where they were stopping the food, like the pizza delivery guy at the front door, not letting him in. Or they were just sort of like, I don't know what to do because I've got this food delivery, and they weren't allowing the drivers in the door, which
Jeez.
That's a fail on the part. And then when you go to the freaking front desk to buy a drink for $4, there's nobody at the front desk to pay for it. You have to wait a couple of minutes for them to show up.
You know, if you promised, they should have had food trucks out front or something like that. If there was supposed to be food there and there wasn't, then arrange it for 3 or 4 food trucks to show up.
I think Toylanta tried doing that and the hotel told them no. That's what my understanding. If I'm speaking wrong, somebody correct me and we'll correct it on the next podcast. But my understanding is Toylanta was told no. Because that would have been my first phone call. Because you could have had 3 or 4 food trucks and they would have made a killing out there. And
they would have.
And you've got enough local breweries that have trucks. They could have been there selling beer.
Yeah. And
then that would have eliminated, because I also in this thread, people were complaining about people drinking on the floor. I'm guilty of that because if I walk to somebody and they go, "Hey, you want a beer?" I'm not going to turn you down. And I will drink it. I will drink it on the floor. And I had a couple of people offer me a beer. So, and I brought my own. So if you don't want people drinking on the floor, don't, make the stuff available, and then you can control it better, because if somebody's walking in with a brown bag, you don't know what's in there.
Right. I will say security was great.
I love the security guards. I don't know who hired them. I'm assuming it was Toylanta who hired them, but those guys were great. They were happy and go lucky. They had one guy that was kept going to vendors. I saw him just go up to vendors and give them a thumbs up, and then he'd wait for them to give him a thumbs up back.
Yeah. Making sure everything was fine and safe and no funny business was going on. I thought they were great.
I heard there were issues with rooms, like ACs not working, no towels being in the room, phones and stuff not working. So the hotel's under a major renovation, and they should have, figured something out. Go, oh, we have a con coming up. Maybe we don't do this, or maybe we leave a bathroom open. Because could you imagine being a vendor on the bottom floor and having to go to the bathroom? You have to walk all the way upstairs.
Yeah, you have to leave your booth far away. Yeah,
right.
That's not ideal.
No, and the ATM wasn't working.
Oh, I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah, I bring my cash with me.
That's not. I don't know what I'm saying. That's not a good idea, not to have money at a convention.
Yeah, I bring my own cash, so I know the vendors, or if I'm running low on cash, if the vendor's going to take a card, I'll put it on a card.
Yeah,
that's bad on you. I've got just an oddball question. If somebody gives you cash to go get them lunch and they say they want a Coke, and Coke products are not available at said restaurant, what are you going to get them?
Pepsi.
Exactly.
Can I have a Pepsi, please? A Pepsi free?
Yes.
Hey, buddy, if you want a Pepsi, pal, you're going to have to pay for it.
Well, give me a tab.
If you want a tab, you got to order something.
Give me something with no sugar.
Give you something with no sugar.
Dude brings you back a Dr. Pepper. And I'm like, whatever.
What's the equivalent of Dr. Pepper on the other side? Mr. Pibb.
I was like, son of a bitch.
Root beer kind of is in that category too.
I love root beer, but I don't like Dr. Pepper.
He's a sweetheart though.
Yes, he is. I love him. I love you, Jason. TK.
You said you weren't going to say who it was.
I don't even know if he listens to the podcast because he's like, I don't listen to the podcast.
No, he still shops in stores.
Yeah, he does.
He's old school. That's where I'm going with that.
Right. Oh, I'm checking off the list. What do we have? I think we did everything.
What did you think about panel accommodations?
The panel accommodations this year were really nice. Like any other con, they never announce a panel, which I don't understand why you want it. Like, hey, we have a Star Wars panel at 1:30 in this room, or hey, you have a big ass sign by the panel room saying panel room. So when people are looking for it, it says panel. But that's a problem I have with every con. Panels just are not. I don't know if you're going to have a panel, advertise it. Make sure people know where the panel room is.
Get another projector and put it up on the wall as people walk in. The times, it's just like what Disney does. How long wait times are, when the next show is. Like as you walk in, you can see all that information. Just throw it up on the wall and with a projector, or get a big TV or something. Rent that for the day. Yeah,
it'd be real simple. Or hell, have somebody handwrite the schedule.
Yeah.
But that's every con. So that's not just a Toylanta thing. It's every con is like that when it comes to panels. The panel room itself, I thought was great. We had the microphone. We had the access to the projector. I thought the panel went off really nice. I love what you did with the video, how you had it double panned and, Mark Rusciano-ish, where it was, you had the frame of us and you had the frame of the panel of the slide we were talking about.
Yep.
I thought we had 15, 20 people in there, which for Toylanta is an amazing turn up for a panel.
Yeah, I was expecting like 4 because of what you kind of said the week before.
Right. And I was kind of joking, but I have been in a panel, and the panel before us had like 4 people in it. So we always have a good turnout for the panel.
Thank you for everyone who did turn out.
Yes, thank you. And if you're listening to the podcast because of that panel, thanks for listening. Yeah, I thought the panel room was great. I'd like it advertised better. We were going to print up flyers and paste it around, but Justin had an issue with his printer, and I wasn't going to pay for flyers. But maybe I should have.
Save the clock tower.
Yes, I did. We did do the raffle for Children's Healthcare and raised like $140, which for what it was I know I sounded a little bit down in the video because Narayan kind of scolded me for sounding down, I guess. In past years, we were hitting $500 to $1,000 in past years at Toylanta. So it was a little bit of a downer, but I think for what it was, we did have people that were, I think, it's awesome that we were able to raise that for Children's Healthcare, and we raffled off a really awesome Kim Simmons print that Jerry had donated. So that was cool. What did you,
cool. Yeah.
How was your first fan table experience, running a fan table?
It was good. I mean, I was talking to people. I'm always impressed when I'm talking to people because I'm such an introvert. And so whenever I'm talking to someone, in the back of my mind, I'm like, you're doing it. Keep it up, buddy. You're doing it. And so I had a lot of those moments this past week and this past weekend, and it was fun, and I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I sold a lot of tickets. Come to think of it, I don't know if I sold any, but I mean, I was talking to people and trying to get them to step up to the Georgia booth. And a lot of people are like, I don't collect Star Wars. I got a lot of that. Star Wars. I didn't get that. But I don't collect Star Wars. Well, have a nice day.
Right.
May the Force be with you.
Have a great day, mother.
Don't let the sliding doors hit you on the way out.
Right. I want to know, because you have mentioned in the past how you, you got uncomfortable at IKEA with the people and the COVID and the social distancing. How was your experience with that in Toylanta?
Well, just to give the hotel some props too, we walked up to the front desk and we're like, Jerry and I were like, we're going to do an interview with someone. Can we use the restaurant? And they're like, oh yeah, go ahead in there. And they just let me be in there for an hour or so. Nobody came to check up on me. No one told me shouldn't have been there. They just let me have the room, and I was able to set it up the way I wanted to. The radio was blaring in there, and I was just like, this is not going to work for an interview, especially when you're trying to put it on YouTube and you're going to get slapped with copyright claims and all that. So I was able to dial down the volume and stuff. So I really appreciated the hotel there. In regards to COVID, I mean, it's still a dicey situation. There was a couple times when I was trying to find, like, I would lose focus of where I was in the room, in the sense that I was focusing on the action figures. Like, what's the price of this? What's this? Where's that? Do they have anything back here? And then I'll turn around and I'll realize that there's like people just like inches from my back. And I'm like, I'm out of here. And so I would leave the room and go out to the hallway and just kind of chill. And there was an hour where I went out to my car and just hung out for a little bit, just to get some fresh air and get away from people and just kind of enjoy the quiet without having to worry about kids and stuff. I told my wife, when we go to like Star Wars Celebration, it's just go, 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 go. And then if I want to take a break, I have to take all the kids with me. And then, you got the kids wanting to do this and to do that. And I'm just wanting to sit. And so it's just good to have that opportunity to go out and sit. Spoken like a true dad.
Right. I feel you, man. I was able to find space in the hotel where I was able to kind of be by myself for a minute if I needed to pull my mask down. They did have corners and stuff where you could, pay attention and be like, all right, I'm 6 feet away from everybody or 10 feet away from everybody. And you could take a breather, or you could go outside because it was a beautiful day. It was nice and cool. And down in like the bottom, I went down in the bottom one time and was talking to Dutch, and that room was just miserably hot. It was like they didn't know where the AC switch was or didn't realize, yes, it's cold this morning, but let me turn on the AC because I'm going to have 1,000 people in here and it's going to be hot. I don't know if they're going to use the hotel again. If they do, I hope the hotel steps up and takes care of them, because I think they deserve them. The Toylanta deserves that, because like the vacuum, it looked like they just put new carpet down. And when you have thousands of people walking on new carpet, it frays, or scales. I don't know what the right term is, but you get carpet fibers balling up, and they were all over the place, but nobody vacuumed the night before or the morning of, so that those things were just all over the place by Sunday afternoon. And I did like what you mentioned about the, people leaving for lunch and not coming back.
Yeah, that was a big problem.
Yeah.
Because I came back that second half. I'm like, I'm going to go hit the floor. And I was able to go over to where the Retroville booth was. I didn't hit that before because there were so many people there. Actually, I didn't even check out all of that booth because there was one section where it was just big enough for one person to walk through, and I wasn't going to wait for somebody to kind of clear the area. So I skipped part of that booth over there.
Right. And that was a badass booth, man, just because of the amount of stuff they had. I tried making a deal on something, and he was like, it's already priced cheap enough. I was like, fine, I'll just walk away. I need it, but I got money burning a hole in my pocket. I'll just save it for IC. So
right.
Peace out.
That's kind of like why I was trying to save the money that I did get, was because of ICCCCCCC. Is that enough?
Yes, it's enough C's. Add one more just for grins and giggles.
C. So it was a good toy show. It was great to see everyone, like you were saying. I hadn't seen people in years. We had that incredible interview, which as it was unfolding, I just was like, this is getting better and better and better. And by the time I was just like, this is going to break the internet as far as Star Wars collecting was.
How many views is that thing up to?
It's past 700 now.
Nice.
If I pull up YouTube. And I was seeing other channels, I would say, social media channels, websites that I normally go to. I'll be scrolling on Facebook and I'll just see an image from the video, and they're just, can't wait for this book to come out. I'm like, holy crap, they saw the video. It was just so cool.
Yeah. It's cool when stuff gets picked up by like Yak Face and you had a part in it.
Yeah, that was awesome. And everybody's was generally like, that was an awesome video, which props to Jerry because he asked the right questions. He controlled the flow of the conversation really well. I didn't feel like it lagged at all.
No.
And I was just like, Jason, don't screw this up because this is too awesome.
No, you did it. And then you did an awesome job with the AV part of that video. Because it wouldn't have been the same without you running it and editing it. And, you had the 2-camera thing going where if they're showing something, you could get up on top of it and show it and cut to it.
Yeah.
Both of you guys deserve props because that video would have not been the same without both of you guys running it.
Yeah. So we're going to play that at the end here, that interview, right?
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
But before we wrap things up so we can get to that interview, I posted on our Facebook page, Ask Us Anything. I'm going to start doing this when we go to record just because I think it's fun. It's a fun way to interact with you guys, during the podcast. And, if you've got a question, no matter how serious or funny or whatever, you just want to find out what kind of shampoo we use, which means none because I'm bald. But
what kind of polish?
Yeah, I use polish. Ask us. So our nice friend, I've got a couple of I've got a bunch from David Quinn, which I don't know if we're going to get to all right now because that's a podcast in and of itself. He posted like 20 of them.
Fire.
Rapid fire. All right, rapid. All right, we're going to start from the top and we're going to rapid fire David Quinn's and then there's some other stuff mixed in. All right, so this one is from David Quinn. If you're not married, alternate quotation marks or alternate universe, where you can't get in trouble for your answer. And you could go on a date with anyone in the Star Wars universe, real people like authors, filmmakers, actors, etc. Who would it be and why?
Like Timothy Zahn?
I didn't think of Timothy Zahn, but that'd be fun.
I'm gonna go with Emilia Clarke, Daenerys Targaryen, Kira.
Swing.
Yeah. Excellent. You?
I would go Mara Jade because I love redheads.
Okay.
And I know that's
I'll
not.
allow it.
Yeah. Real people. Oh, you want like real people? Damn. Hold on a minute.
He was asking actors, and
yeah. Geez, I can't go.
you can use your imagination.
Yeah. Wow. Who would I want to go? Geez, now I got to rethink that because I'm thinking rapid fire. Yeah. Who? Fudge. I guess whoever played Jyn Erso, because I won't steal your thunder with what's her face, Emily Clarke. Who played Jyn Erso? I know it's
Emilia Clarke. Jyn Erso is fun times. Jyn Erso. I know her name. It's just because I'm being asked on a podcast. I don't know it. Felicity Jones.
Yeah, why not? Let's go her because I liked her acting.
She's beautiful too.
Yes. She's not hard on the eyes. All right.
Okay.
So another question from David. Provided the world opens up again this year, what collecting related event are you most excited to attend?
I'm going to do the annual just because I want to go back to Syracuse and meet more collectors.
Yeah, if and I'd have to echo that. I'm excited for IC, but I think the annual would be a more intimate event, and you're going to get more out of the annual versus IC.
Yep. Awesome.
Plus, I'd probably get to see David again, which would be awesome.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So the next one is, say a fellow podcaster, I wonder who he's talking about, was to come visit each of you for lunch or dinner. Best spot to eat in your area.
My grill.
Yeah, like in your house?
Yeah, I'll grill. I'll grill for visitors. I'm a mean griller. But if we're looking for restaurants, what's that place in Woodstock that's an Italian place by the family that owns like a 5-star place downtown?
Ips?
Yes.
No, it's not. Is it Ips?
I think so.
Like,
it's
in a little white house?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
It's some amazing Italian food.
I've got two answers because if you want barbecue, I would go to JD's because they do a badass brisket.
Yes, they do.
But if you want burgers, we're going to go downtown and either hit the Vortex or Grindhouse.
I haven't been to either one of those, so we'll have to go sometime once COVID opens.
I like Grindhouse a little bit better than Vortex, but the Vortex has a better vibe.
Okay. I'll have to try it.
Yeah. Favorite moment from the first quarter of the year?
I'm going to have to go with that interview. Toylanta interview.
Yeah, that was amazing. I don't even know how to answer that. I guess Toylanta, just because. Go ahead.
No, you finish.
I just because it was the first major show post COVID, and for all intents and purposes, I feel it was a success. And just the stuff that the club was able to do, and that we were actually able to get a club table and see people. But yeah, I'll have to go with Toylanta just because it's a step in the right direction.
Cool. We'll leave it there.
All right. Best piece of collecting advice you've received recently.
I don't know if I've received advice lately, but the thing that really pops out is collect what you love. Don't buy just to buy.
I've got to echo that. I don't know if I've been told that recently, but yeah, buy what you love. Don't. Yeah, I'm just going to echo what you said, but yes.
No.
Because if you don't buy what you love, it's going to end up in a freaking tote in your closet, and then you're not going to be happy.
Yeah, it's just stuff. So just make sure you love it.
What has been this is another one from David. What has been the best lesson you've learned so far as a podcaster?
Be yourself.
And get a good mic.
And get a good mic, yes. Be yourself with a good mic. There we go.
Yeah, that's just, it's be yourself. Be loose. Don't get nervous. And people are going to like it. If you're enjoying yourself, people are gonna come to the podcast. They're gonna find you and listen to you.
Yep.
This one is from our buddy David. Is it Sean or Sean? Sean.
I think it's Sean.
Sean. Yeah, that's what my boss's name's Sean, and we call him Sheen all the time just to piss him off. So yes, David Sean. So that's why I called you Sheen. He's messaged me a few times. He's been a good listener. So we've had some conversations over PM. So it's awesome when you get that connection with people. With the pandemic coming to a close, do you guys see a dip in toy collecting?
I'm going to preface this by saying that I had the opportunity to buy the vintage collection of Ahsoka for $14, and I didn't, thinking that wouldn't be worth anything down the road and I could pick it up at a later time. So take what I'm about to say with that in consideration, because I could see there being not a dip in collecting, but people losing interest in collecting as the world opens up. Everyone's been boxed in. They want to get out and they want to enjoy things. There's going to be less money for collecting. If they're going to the movies, if they're going to restaurants, if they're taking vacations. So I think it returning back to pre-COVID.
Yeah.
But don't listen to me.
I'm just echoing everything you say because you're right. With people getting out and I think it's going to come off of Facebook and it's going to go back to hunting, because I think all these people that have done the Facebook groups and everything, they're going to want to get back to real hunting and getting out and getting dirty and finding stuff in the wild again. So no, I don't think I think it'll move. It won't change. It'll change. It won't die off. Who is somebody in our hobby you admire?
Can I say David Quinn? Anybody who gives back to the hobby without asking for anything is someone I admire. Somebody who tries to further things. And I mean, that's why I tried to turn that vintage collection discussion right around, and I tried to post it for people to see, because I thought that was just something that people should see. And I just try really hard to make people happy. And yeah.
Yeah. There again, I'm going to have to start going first on these questions.
Go ahead. You go first.
No, it's fine because we're echoing each other. And yeah, I do. And it is David, because he brings so much light to the hobby. and is such a shining light and brings so much to the hobby, like you said, and is so, brings so much joy to people's lives through his podcast. And, he wants people to love Star Wars as much as he does. And he does everything in his power to be a shining light in the hobby. And, he's definitely somebody I look up to, because I want to be like that. And I'm starting to realize that through the club and through the podcast that, in the world of Star Wars, you and I, Jason, are small fish in a very, very big pond, but there's smaller fish that look up to us. And I know that's a bad analogy, but I don't know how else to put it. But, there's people that look up to us because of this platform, and I've got to take that more serious. And David's been an example to make it, for me to live up to.
Yeah.
Who is your least favorite Rebels character?
You're going first.
Least favorite Rebels character. Go first. Go. Tell me.
This one, my gut is to say, because we've been watching it recently. Yeah. I've been picking episodes out. And I mean, sometimes Ezra pisses me off. Just because it's just like, he's such a Boy Scout.
Yeah. And he trips a lot.
Well, he's not as bad as the guy from Resistance. That guy's just all over the place. But the other thing I don't like is how the Grand Inquisitor died so quickly. Spoiler alert. So I'm going to go with the Inquisitor just because he seemed in the end to be pointless. He was a really cool villain, but he just was a waste.
Right. See, I'm still thinking.
You can say Kanan. You can say Hera. You can say Sabine.
Well, he didn't say main character, but you know what? Agent Callus. Why not? He's a cool guy, but yeah, maybe. Fudge, I don't know. Why you got to do that to me, David?
Yeah.
You just blank when it's like, do this. You blank, and I blanked.
All right, next question.
Oh, you know what? It's the droid, the counting droid. That guy's annoying as the inventory droid.
I don't know. It's not ringing a bell.
He came over from the Empire, and he's an inventory droid, and he's just annoying because he has to. Everything's got to be precise and down to numbers, and that guy's annoying.
Is it the blue one, the Death Star droid?
Yeah, I think so. Yes. I think he's blue.
AS4 or something like that. AS something. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, but the inventory droid. All right. Will Solo ever get a sequel? I think yes. It'll be on Disney Plus.
And it'll be called Too Solo, Too Furious.
Either that or it'll be called Lando.
Siloed. Yeah, I think it's going to be more spin-off than a sequel. I think the Lando thing is going to be a spin-off sequel. Although I personally want a sequel.
Sorry, I'm reading ahead, and he's getting funny. But yes, I do think it'll be on Disney Plus, and it will be on Lando. But they left too big of a hole there at the end of Solo for you to figure it out. Plus, you'll get to see Emily Clark or someone who looks very much like her again. Yeah. Favorite clone from the Clone Wars?
That was creepy.
It was. Wasn't
Feel free to edit that. Yeah.
Well, that's why I like Game of Thrones so much.
Okay.
Anyway. Favorite clone from the Clone Wars?
Off the top of my head, I'm going to have to go with Rex. I know that's probably the safe choice.
Yeah, that's my choice too, just because he's the first one that comes to mind.
What were they? CT-171.
Which one? That one. All right.
You probably didn't recognize him because he kind of fit in with the rest. But he was an important character, and he was there. CT-171.
Favorite cologne from the Clone Wars?
Savage Biopress.
Oh my goodness. Will Rey ever return to Star Wars?
What do you think?
I think maybe, but it'll be Fast and Furious, or if they do, they're gonna mess with us again, and in 30 years they'll do another sequel trilogy, and it'll all be based on Rey, and she'll be an old lady, and somebody's looking for her to give her lightsaber back.
Yeah, if they do it, it would be episodes, what are we, 10, 11, 12. I think Lucasfilm has kind of shifted to Mandalorian, so much so that there's rumors that the Euro Disneyland Paris is getting Tatooine.
Yes, I saw that.
And so that's the latest rumor. So Lucasfilm is shifting. And it seems like, the movie business and theme park business is completely different entities. And it sounded like Kathleen Kennedy wanted to focus on the future. And that's why they did Galaxy's Edge. And it was her who said, no, we should do something for the future of Star Wars. But meanwhile, theme park, people love it. People go to it because they remember as kids. I mean, that's the reason why we're still going to Disney World, is because we went there as kids and we want to share it with our kids and we love it so much. They should have done something that we loved as kids.
Right.
Tatooine.
Damn it.
So I don't think Rey's going to come back. I think they're shifting their focus a little bit to earlier times, but you never know.
Yeah. Yes. Book on
You
collecting.
didn't answer the.
I thought I
You
did.
didn't answer the Cologne one.
The Cologne one, Polo.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Solo.
Solo. Yes, I love the Solo Cologne by Ralph Lauren. Or I can't come up with crap off the top of my head.
All right.
Unless I'm rapping. Then I'm like,
move along.
Yes, move along. Name a book on collecting you'd recommend to others.
Oh, well, this vintage collection one, I haven't read it yet, but that seemed pretty awesome from what I saw. I'm so hyped for it.
Yeah, that book looks incredible. The one that I have in my collection, the only one I really have, is there's a Steve Sansweet did a reference book, which has all the figures with the correct weapons and stuff, and with pictures, and I do like that one. It's not meant to, it's a reference book. It's not reading material. So you can go and say, I'm looking for this and what did it come with? And yeah, it's one of those books, but I know there's a ton of them.
If I were to make a Micro Machines book, would people buy it?
Yes.
Okay,
I did, I'm going to steal this guy's idea, but this guy that was at Toylanta, speaking of books, he had a G.I. Joe, comprehensive G.I. Joe comic book, sort of like the same thing that Steve Sansweet did with the figures, but it was all the variant covers and everything. And he looks at me and goes, if I did a Star Wars version of this book, would you buy it? And I told him yes, because I don't know anything about the comic books, and this would clarify a bunch of stuff. So hopefully that dude does it and I can buy it next year.
Awesome.
Yeah. But, okay. Disney is planning.
We'll see.
Yes, we'll see. Disney is planning a new Star Wars theme attraction, and you're in charge of it. What is it?
You go first.
I would take Spaceship Earth and turn that into the Death Star, and then put a trench run inside of it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Some sort of X-Wing fight. Yeah, do you know the Spider-Man ride?
Which
Universal, how you get in the car and you have the 3D glasses on and you're following around. If you got into some sort of X-Wing and you're following Luke around and you end up going in the trench and maybe you fly by Hoth. I don't know. That would be awesome. That would be completely awesome to be in that moment.
Yeah. Awesome. Share a story about someone in our hobby who doesn't get a lot of attention.
I'm kind of quiet and stuck at home, and I'm just kind of stepping out into the collecting world for the first time. And I've been in this world for a year or so.
And it's weird because I'll look back on pictures and you're at meetups and I don't remember you being there. Because there's just so much stuff happening at a meetup. The Halloween meetup, you're dressed up as Chewie. I was like, oh yeah, Jason was there.
I was there.
Yeah. And it's weird. That's why I'm trying to be more what would David Quinn do, so that I know who's at these meetups.
Tony Johnson's awesome.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's a sweetheart.
Yeah, Susan is too.
Yep, Susan.
Yeah, she's an awesome. She'll bend over backwards for you.
She's so friendly.
Yeah. I needed her to run the table, or she volunteered to run the table, for a big chunk of time on Sunday. And, anything I've ever needed, or the club's needed, she's helped out with. No questions asked.
Such a sweetheart. So there you
go. Strangest Star Wars Kenner toy.
Strangest Star Wars Kenner toy? FX7 is just like a clothespin. It doesn't have any play value.
Mm.
I think he's the strangest.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, now I'm thinking I got to jog my memory. Which one is that? That's the damn droid, the medical droid.
Yeah, he looks like he's half vending machine, half clothespin, half Swiss Army knife.
Right. Mine would be the Imperial Dignitary.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Yeah. Why? Because he's just purple.
Purple dude. Yeah, why not Tarkin? Why that guy?
Yeah.
He had probably like 15 seconds of screen time.
Yeah.
The Emperor just walked up to him. He's just like, "What's up, dude?" He just bowed.
Right. He didn't even say that.
No, but he was thinking it, and the Emperor knew it because of his evilness. And he knows when people bow, they're like, he's saying, "What's up to me?"
Right. Favorite piece that someone else owns.
I mean, Ryan's got that Boba Fett collection.
Yeah. There you go.
So
You're stealing my damn thing again.
Well, then you take that one.
No, I mean, it's fine, dude. Go, because say it.
Reach your hand out. Close your eyes. Reach your hand out. Pick something from his wall, and that's the piece. Justin also showed me that he has some Princess Leia micro machines pre-production.
Nice.
So you take Ryan's Boba Fett's, and I'll take Justin's Leia's.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. So I guess I need to say Narayan's Boba. Yes, the wall of Narayan's Boba Fett's, or just his side. So just Narayan's Boba Fett collection. Yeah, and the knowledge that dude has over those 3 figures.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
This one's from Cole McKinley.
Cole?
Yes, from Cole. Sorry, Cole, I can't pronounce your last name. I suck. If you had to pick a prequel character, huh?
Mulkey.
Cole Mulkey.
Not McClunky.
McClunky. That's what I was thinking.
You were thinking Cole McClunky.
Yes.
Sorry, Cole.
I love you, Cole. If you had to pick a prequel character to get a Black Series figure, who would this be and why?
Did the Imperial Dignitary show up in the prequels?
No.
What's his face? The dude that produced the movies. I don't want to say Ross, but that's not it. Star Wars episode. They appeared at the end of episode 1 as dignitaries, right when the Emperor goes, "And we'll watch you." I don't know. This is a joke that's going nowhere. Honestly, I loved Ara Singh. I think she was created to be the female bounty hunter at the beginning of episode 2. Because they dropped her in at the last second because he needed a bounty hunter in episode 2. So I always assumed that Ara Singh was dropped into the pod race because she was going to be carried over into episode 2. That didn't happen. They got the Sam Westall character.
And that's the one with the antenna out of her head?
Yes. Yeah. I think that's a cool character. Sebulba. We never got little Annie. So pick one.
Yeah.
How about you? Boss Nass?
Yeah, why not? We just got Jar Jar.
Yeah. The Destroyer droids would be pretty cool because they fold up.
Oh my God, yes.
Into balls, and you can roll those around, and you can play with the grandkids with that.
Yeah. As long as we don't play baseball with them.
No. That would hurt my heart.
Yeah, the Destroyer droids.
In slow motion.
Yeah. And that's about did they no, because and then you had those flying things that were on Mustafar. Was it Mustafar or the droid factory? You had those flying aliens, right?
Yeah, the Geonosians.
And you got those people with the big long necks.
Giraffes.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
In you're the cloners.
Oh yes, Geonosians. No,
Yeah, that's why I thought
the Kaminoans. Sorry.
Yeah. Dude, I don't even know what they're called, and you say prequels, and I'm like, the green screen?
Yeah, the green screen movies.
Yeah, they should make it the green screen as a Black Series.
Star Wars Episode 2, the green screen.
Yeah. Have you seen the meme where it's like George Lucas from the original trilogy with all the toys, with all the models, and then him in the sequel, in the prequel trilogy, and he's just in front of a green screen?
No. I'll have to see if I can dig that out.
And this is the last one from David this gets it all out. What is your personal collecting goal this year? A specific piece or type of piece you'd like to acquire?
Yeah. What's your ideas?
My idea is going to be this. Mine's going to be the answer. It's going to be this answer till I get it. And it's the Phantom from Galactic Heroes. That's my white whale. And that's where my focus is going to be. And that's where I'm going to have a wad of cash in my pocket at IC and be like, Anthony, show me this. And hopefully he shows it to me. But we'll see.
Yeah, I think I'm looking for pre-production vehicle because I got a paint sample coming, but I want a pre-production a micro machine vehicle. I
would like a wax sculpt. I would like a mold. I would like a wood, something wooden, something from like the very, very beginning of a figure. I think would be cool to have.
Yeah, but that's like Warren Buffett money right there.
It can be newer stuff, modern.
That's
can be modern.
Kevin Feige money right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. But I think if you find modern stuff and you get lucky, I think it's obtainable. But you just got to be in the right place at the right time and have the credit card to go for it.
Cha-ching.
Yep. I think that's everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a 2-hour show.
So Jason, why don't you introduce this interview, because you were involved in it way more than I was.
So quickly how it came about, there was a Fangirl Friday. I can't remember the name of the YouTube channel. It's linked to in the video. If you go to YouTube, the Georgia Alliance of Star Wars Collectors, there's a video in the description. And Derryl DePriest went on that show, and they were co-workers at Hasbro at one point. The woman who runs the Fangirl YouTube page, and Derryl used to be, I think, a marketing manager for the Star Wars line for like 18 years. At least he worked at Hasbro for 18 years. Anyways, so they did that YouTube video, and that left a lot of people, I guess, afterwards wanting more. They didn't feel like the questions went deep enough. And Jerry, who knew Derryl, reached out and said, "Hey, you going to Toylanta? Can we just take 15 minutes to ask you a couple of questions on camera and do it for the Alliance, and you guys can Georgia Alliance, and you can you could promote your book and stuff like that." He said, "Oh yeah, sure thing." So I knew this was a great opportunity, and we were kind of coming up with questions beforehand. And so, and I personally love the vintage collection. I think it's anyways, I'm not going to get into it. It's just a nostalgic trip, and they're great sculpting and all that stuff. Anyways. So he said, yeah, we're going to make the interview. And so Jerry sat down with them for 45 minutes, and it was just three dudes talking almost like they were at a bar, just about your life and your experience and why do you love collecting. And, there's a couple things that were on Jerry's mind that I think were on a lot of collectors' minds about the decisions Hasbro's made in the past, the decisions Hasbro's making now, why Black Series is getting so much more attention. So there's a lot of those kind of questions that were sprinkled in there. And then they went into the book, and that thing itself was just an amazing piece. They brought sample pages. Like, they brought more stuff than we thought they would bring. We thought they would just bring, like, here's a couple pages to look at. No, they brought the blank book without print. printed pages in it to show us how heavy and how thick this thing is going to be. This thing is going to be incredible. They brought posters for us to look at. They brought other things that I'm not allowed to mention that we saw for the first time. And I think we were some of the first, I think Jerry and I were some of the first people to see outside of that group. I could be wrong. Some of those pieces for the first time. And so I was just doing my best to record it, and Jerry was knocking it out of the park. Big props to Jerry for asking the right questions and just having a great conversation. And we asked him afterwards, we're throwing this up on YouTube. Can we share it on our podcast? He's like, yeah, do whatever you need to do. So with that, we're going to share this awesome, completely incredible conversation we had with Derryl DePriest and Rich Alot. And Rich Alot worked for the company that makes SH figure arts now. Can't remember the name off the top of my head. He'll go into it in the interview, but yeah, and Rich was also involved with Rebel Scum, and so they just have a great pedigree in Star Wars collecting, and I don't know if that's the right word. I'm just really excited about this conversations.
Hey guys, my name is Jerry Hancock. I'm with the Georgia Alliance of Star Wars Collectors, and it is a great pleasure to be here today with Mr. Derryl DePriest and Rich Alot. These guys are the folks who put together the Vintage Collection Archive Edition book that is due to be out this spring. I know a lot of us have been waiting patiently for this, and I can't tell you how excited I am to be here with these guys and to get sort of a taste of what's in store. Just all sorts of goodies. We've been talking, and it's just amazing the amount of work that has gone into this book. So, gentlemen, let's just open this up. Tell us about the book, what the motivation for this book was, what sort of kickstarted it, and then obviously the Kickstarter came and the funding came, and yeah, it's just this has just been an incredible journey for those of us who have backed this just right out of the gate. And so yeah, thanks so much for your time, gentlemen, and let's get started. Derryl, whose idea was this first?
Well, actually, Rich and Dave, our other partner, came to me and recruited me into the project. They had been well along on the idea of celebrating the vintage collection in book form, and they had a lot of the ideas crystallized, and I obviously brought the writing to the table and the interviewing, all of the principles behind it, and the thinking about how we approached it, from the inside perspective. But why don't we start with Rich? Rich, take it away from what your vision was.
Yeah, this was always a passion project for us. There was just kind of like this lineage of books from Steve Sansweet that were coming out, and it's just incredible, and all of a sudden it stopped. And there was just this void, and we were like, how do we fill this void? And this line right here is, everyone loves this line look, everyone loves vintage, and that's kind of where Steve stopped. And how do we pick up, and how do we bring that to collectors? And we were like, we got to do a book, and we have to do all these little elements of it that are inspired by that classic Kenner look.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, the look of the book is actually sort of inspired by Sansweet's book, The Action Figure Archive, which was just legendary for its time. But like Rich said, it just...
Seiji Takahashi. Seiji Takahashi is the person who did the original book, and Steve translated and brought in other elements. But Takahashi-san, who I had the pleasure of meeting, is the person who created that original design in Japan.
So talk to us a little bit about the design look. There are some real key characteristics in that book that just make it stand out. And I know at one point, Star Wars Insider actually did a couple of editions where they tried to sort of pick up and continue with it, but they only did like maybe three volumes of that, and then it again sort of disappeared. But talk to us about the design process and some of the things that you picked up on.
Yeah, so what we wanted to carry over was the clean layout, the cleanliness of it. It was well laid out. The figures were detailed, but some of the things that we thought we could incorporate to improve was the content. Each figure has its own story. Each figure has its own write-up. Each figure has a page dedicated to vehicles, creatures, all that stuff. So we wanted to go beyond just a photo. We wanted to really let this serve as a reference point, encyclopedic kind of like, you flip it open, you're like, okay, I know everything I need to know about this now.
Yeah, that was really one of the great characteristics of that original volume, and I can't wait to see where this goes. So obviously Derryl was key in some of those backstories, so that's really the behind the scenes. And I spoke with Derryl earlier and asked him, is there anything off the table as far as questions? And so he was like, no, I could pretty much answer most anything. And so you recently did an interview with one of your former colleagues from Hasbro, and you mentioned something about a mathematical equation about there was a process for deciding which figures would be made. And I know that in the fandom, there are a lot of us who sort of, sometimes things get made and we're like, why did they make that? And then other times they don't make certain things, and fans are like, I can't believe they didn't make that figure. So talk to us a little bit about that process.
So we do touch on this in the book, but it's sprinkled throughout. We kind of seeded a little bit of the process like throughout the whole book. So you have to read it all to get it. But prior to my being in the toy industry and even in the video game industry, my background is as a scientist before. So I approach things with a very quantitative kind of rigor. And one thing when designing a Star Wars line, especially being a fan like I am, and a fan of what was then the expanded universe, like I love a lot about Star Wars, but the comic books have always been like a fantastic vein of storytelling. It was easy for me to kind of like make suggestions to keep expanding beyond, and also when we got into the vintage collection, one thing that we realized very quickly after a couple of waves is that we had run out of truly A-level characters. And that A-level character is part of kind of that mathematical equation we had. So we've run out of A-level characters. What do we do? Because I know the quickest way for a line to die at retail is just doing tertiary characters where you sell very few. Nobody's happy about your...
What's what killed Masters of the Universe, really?
Yeah, and nobody's happy about your profitability. Certainly not Hasbro. Certainly not the retailers. It just is a one-way ticket out of the retail aisle. And we had an agreement with Lucasfilm that vintage is a very powerful line look. They didn't want to see it die a wimpy death. We had to really keep it going or agree to pull the plug. And we kept it going for 3 years originally. And part of that reason why was we created this formula, not just for vintage, but for all the lines we were doing, that we always had to have A-level star power. And then we categorized all the other figures we wanted to do as Bs and Cs, and sometimes even like D-level characters. We drew from the parking lot, but we had to be very rigorous. And for every Cantina alien, I would want to do every Cantina alien that ever existed. That's just to me the quintessential scene. But we had to be very rigorous. Like to justify a Cantina alien, we had to like have 10 times that worth of other characters in each wave. And so what it did is we categorized every figure according to this ABC rant, and we agreed with Lucasfilm how we would design each wave, and they held us to it. Like every wave we submitted, they would say, these are the A's, the B's, the C's. Like we would show them, and then we would pick characters, from that. So it was very rigorous, but that served us so well because we were able to get in the figures we want, but we had to make sure that was in true moderation. So we didn't go heavy on the tertiary characters. Yeah. So we do tell that. We wanted to tell that story because it is part of the approach, and that for folks who haven't heard it, that was an interview that we did with Anita.
Fangirl.
Yeah, and Anita Castellar. She's amazing, and
you
can check that out.
Time with that interview. It was like two old friends getting back together.
That's right. So people should check that out. Anita runs Fangirl, and really my hat's off to her for pulling out some of these stories that I hadn't thought about in a while.
Well, so speaking of that, I was sitting here looking. So in 2012, was it the episode 1 line that sort of brought it to a close?
Yeah, episode 1, the writing was on the wall even before episode 1, but episode 1 really, was one of the reasons why we were struggling. But there was even a bigger reason too, and that was we had been chasing lower numbers on Star Wars figures ever since 2008. The economic meltdown really hurt a lot of collectors, and we saw it in decreasing numbers. And one thing that when you launch a line in retail, especially what's called a wave-based line, where it's not just one item, but it's built on, the success is built on each wave succeeding and selling the number we had forecast and getting into retail. When you're trying to chase numbers down, it's a real hard problem. It means that you can't take, in marketing, you're always optimists. You're always like, this next wave is going to be even better than the one we did before, You're the cheerleader. And sometimes flat is up, right? And we just, no matter how good the waves are, we were still trending down, and it was just a product of the time.
So it sounds like that was the beginning of what we're starting to see now, where Black Series seems to be, as Hasbro calls it today, their bread and butter, and it seems that sort of TVC has fallen to the sort of second to the back seat, I guess. So you saw the beginning of that.
So we saw the beginning of that for sure, and by that time, I recently did a separate project, kind of related to this too, but I put together in my own archives from 1978 to present every 3 3/4 figure. So that's my goal, is to have every single figure, all the major variations, and they're stored in this kind of like front to back chronological order, and we're in the thousands of figures, right? I mean, that's intimidating for anybody to collect. Sure. If you're a new collector, where do you, how do you start, and do you want to get them all? As someone who's a completist, it's very intimidating. So a fresh start is really what's needed sometimes, and that's why Hasbro, when they started 6-inch, I actually delayed the introduction of 6-inch for years, because I knew that it would cannibalize this. Yeah. It would take a lot of the dollars and focus away from this, and I thought we had still a lot of life left in 3 3/4. But once 6-inch started, it pulled a lot of new blood, and it was phenomenal. And at the same time, I think it made it tougher on 3 3/4. Also, the other factor is 3 3/4 is at its heart. I always thought you need kids in the line, right? Especially because vehicles are so important, and you need volumes enough to substantiate those vehicles. So it just became more difficult to keep that going in time. So today, I know why Hasbro is doing so much with 6-inch. It's the fresh thing, it's the big thing, it's a higher dollar, volume thing. But nothing will ever replace 3 3/4. And it is, to me, in my opinion, Star Wars at its heart is a figure and vehicle line. It's not just about figures. It's a, science fiction fantasy at its heart, where vehicles are such an important part of the character of the line and the storytelling.
I think that's the thing that's really driven it. Now we're starting to see some play sets popping up here and there, the little component play sets and stuff. So I think it's definitely, like you said, sort of the heart of what Star Wars toys were, particularly for those of us who go way back. So Rich, tell me a little bit about that. I'm assuming you're an old school vintage fan as well, and talk to me a little bit about what this was when you were a kid. What did these toys mean to you as a child?
Yeah, so I think for collectors, especially longtime collectors, these are the modern incarnations of what we grew up playing with as kids. When you kind of look at, for example, you look like a Luke Skywalker with the yellow hair. Or the Han Solo Hoth that has a little clip that you can put the blaster in. So those little things are now taken to the next level, where you can pose these out into the most amazing stances, battle stances, and you bring in vehicles, and the barge. I think the barge was a real surprise for Hasbro. It was like sink or swim kind of thing. Like, okay, if this is going to move forward, here it is, and I think. I think it surprised our community, and I think it surprised a lot of people at Hasbro too.
Yeah. So, Derryl, we know the momentum was building for the barge for years. Was this? He laughs. He knows where I'm going with this. So, at what point? I mean, I think you'd already probably left Hasbro at that point, but did you have much impact in the decision to finally make this happen? Were you still sort of behind the scenes pushing buttons going, the fans really want this barge?
Actually, my history with the barge is interesting. So I wasn't on the Star Wars team at the time. It was a new team. I transitioned off in 2015. And for the next 3 years, I was overseeing GI Joe and other projects. But the team came and consulted with me. I had a chance to propose the barge years before. We knew the barge was something that fans wanted, but it was completely unrealistic because, and especially the way I worked, I thought of retail. We have to solve retail. There really wasn't much direct-to-fan, a direct-to-fan model back then. But I give credit to the new team. They really wanted to do something different, something audacious, and they convinced senior management that this was the new model to try to do these things. So, they did it. They came and proposed it to me. I thought it was very audacious. So, but it wasn't something that I would have ever done, when I was over the brand. So that was, they took a chance and it paid off for them. So
that's great. I get this mental picture of you and like Mark Boudreau sitting back having beers going, man, one day we're going to make this thing happen.
But I never saw the day that that Hasbro would make that. So good for them, because I've got one now to thank for that team really taking a chance on a new model. So, but it's something that you can do every once in a while with these things, and we've got the the Razor Crest, it's coming, so I can't wait for that as well. So,
yeah, I have to say, guys, we'll try and wrap up here quickly because Derryl already told me he's. If you don't know, guys, we're here at Toylanta in Atlanta. This is our premier toy show. It really started with GI Joe. It used to be called Joelanta, and if you don't know, Derryl has a long history, actually longer history with GI Joe than with the Star Wars brand, and. He talked about being meticulous. I saw his binder earlier. He has checklists. I saw him yesterday when he first got to the con, digging through boxes before the floor was even open. I mean, he's like a machine looking for these things. So I know he's got some other business he needs to take care of. I did have a couple just quick questions, sort of rapid fire questions before we leave. I wanted to hit both of y'all. So. First question I'll pose to Rich. Rich, what was your favorite vintage toy as a child?
Falcon. And the reason was my uncle came back from college to visit me, to visit the family. He stopped by the house. He brought me a Falcon. I remember putting it together. We went to the Toys R Us, picked it up, and my aunt walks into the room and she goes, "Oh my God, what is that thing? Are you crazy? Did you buy that for him?" So that old Falcon, just remembering that story, and getting to put my Han and Chewie figures in it was awesome.
That's great. That's awesome. All right, so Derryl, quick question for you now. Of your time at Hasbro working on the Star Wars line, what do you see for Star Wars? I know I'll ask a similar question for Joe in a second, but for Star Wars, what was really the pinnacle, what you consider to be sort of the high point of your career in working on this line?
Well, one is definitely the vintage collection, because what we had often posed the question internally, or at least I did, we said, what if Kenner, this was an actual conversation, what if Kenner had never stopped producing Star Wars? What would it look like? And that became the impetus for the vintage collection. There were some precursor lines before that started before my time, but really that was the thinking. So to actually achieve that, to work with Lucasfilm to make that happen, and to see it have such success, that's the pinnacle. I have another one too, which is the Clone Wars. Oh, yeah. Just working on the Clone Wars, something created from whole cloth, by Dave Filoni and his team there, and then bringing that to life. I'm very, very proud of our team's handling of the Clone Wars. That had a long and amazing life. So I look at these two as related but very different, enterprises. So
I was thinking about the Clone Wars diorama at Celebration. That thing was just stunning. It was an incredible piece. So, all right. So, quick question. I got the Joe guy here, and maybe we have some Joe guys watching. So, what was your pinnacle of your career working on the Joe line?
It was definitely reviving Joe versus Cobra, but that was also one of the worst, moments. Just the because I want everything to be perfect, and out of the gate we were not perfect on that line. So, but just recatalyzing interest in that was big. So Hasbro has put a focus on that is leading to the movies that we have today. So that was a really good pinnacle. And then I had fun with 12-inch G.I. Joe. We did some amazing Joes, as well. Yeah, 40th anniversary line was a fun one. So, and the 40th anniversary line actually has a precursor to vintage, because in many respects they try to achieve the exact same thing. So.
Going for that old school fan. So you guys got a few things here. Did y'all want to point any specifics out that you wanted to share with the folks? Because this thing's coming out in May, guys, and I am just, oh my God, I'm waiting with bated breath, as I'm sure a lot of other fans are. Rich, you got some incredible stuff.
Derryl didn't mention, and he kind of alluded to, but there's a story in here about how they kept pushing Lucasfilm to do this line. It really took some arm twisting to get Lucasfilm to allow this to happen, and we capture that in the book. So it's not just pretty photography. There's some really good story in here, and how and what it took to make these things happen. Because I think they had cold feet going into it.
That's right.
and they were reluctant to do it. So it was a lot of persistence to make vintage happen. So we've got some pages from the book. We had Steve Sansweet do our foreword. We talked to Steve. He lent us some of his items for the book for comparison photos to classic Kenner things. So I think this in here really is special to all of us. Especially since a lot of what we did is based on his previous works.
We love Steve.
You're seeing this, Steve.
So the chapter breaks. One of the big things happening with toys is toy photography right now. So we went out and we got the best guys. And every chapter break photo is a big, beautiful illustration of what this line can do, like the world building, the vehicles, and why 3 3/4-inch Star Wars really is kind of the line that everyone loves because of what you can do. And you can kind of do this stuff with 6-inch figures, but man, you need a lot of space. So you need a warehouse. Yeah.
Some of those, I see 6-inch fans from time to time. They're like, I don't know how much longer I can do this.
And then these are some of those stories. You can see this is kind of what it took to get Lucasfilm convinced. Some of these figures, PowerPoint decks that were taken to them to present. So we've got some of that covered in here. I think we've shared some of these things with readers. Yeah. But here,
enjoy the updates.
here are the pages. We wanted to take the time to get these right, and here's a really good example of why some of this took longer than we anticipated. So if you take a look at the C-3PO correction here, you can see it had a green tint to it, and it's beautifully cleaned up. Now, usually what happens is the printer takes this stuff and they color match to the screen. We were just having issues. It wasn't happening, so I think there's over 6,000 photos that were taken, and so it took a really long time to get all that done, to go through every photo and make sure that it was color accurate. So there was a little bit of a delay in that, but that's a really big thing. We wanted to make sure that when you look at that lightsaber, you look at that belt, you're like, okay, I know I have this. It's big. It's you can distinguish this one from another one, and you'll know that I have the right Han blaster with this figure.
Rich, can I add something too? So one thing that we really want to mention is that this book is kind of a love letter to the designers who worked on the line. You mentioned Marc Boudreau before, but we did interviews with all the principal designers who worked on the figures, and then I added my recollections of working with the designers to kind of fill in the gaps when we didn't. But Eric Aranya and Andrew Franks and so many others. Steve Bono, did a bunch of work for this, and then Brian Parrish is really the Marc Boudreau of the vintage collection figure line. Brian Parrish did so many of these. And the pages that Rich is showing, each one is infused with their recollections and what they wanted to achieve in that figure. We wanted to make sure that those designers really got that attention that they deserve. And fans need to know what they did.
That's really cool because we were talking earlier about some of the old Kenner designers, and it's almost like those guys are like cult heroes now. You go out to some of the conventions, you see Jim Swearigan here in Atlanta. We have Tim Effler and Doug Miller. I mean, these guys are legends of the vintage line. So it's great that y'all are giving props to some of the guys working on the new line because of just the amount of work that goes into it. And these sculptors are incredible. Some of the details that are coming out in these newer vintage characters, especially with the new face update, the real scan, photo real. That is just amazing what they're capable of these days.
I think one of the things that really struck me in kind of going through this book and reading kind of where we are and with vehicles was how Brian Merton approached vehicles. He approached vehicles as role play and kind of I'm sitting in a cockpit and what do I do? And so, it really explains like a lot of these updates that he did with the cockpits, with adding the yokes, adding targeting computers, in the TIE Fighter ejector seats. So, understanding why that was added, and it's just an incredible story to kind of get into their minds and be like, oh wow, okay, that's really cool. That's the way he envisioned these changes because he's thinking that he's sitting in the cockpit of a TIE Fighter.
Well, when we played with them as kids, it was sort of what we did. You almost envisioned yourself in that cockpit. And you see the Luke X-Wing there. I didn't know about the little added bonus inside the helmet until you guys had posted the update about that. I thought that was genius.
There's a ridge in Luke's helmet that you could fit over the top bun on Rey's head so that she can pilot the X-Wing.
That's just incredible foresight and being able to make these toys so interactive. I was just genius, and to get that voice of those designers and what they're trying to accomplish, I think is just really special.
So I think this is the first time people are seeing a lot of these pages, right, Rich?
Yeah.
So you're comfortable letting these out?
I'm gonna show this one thing. I'm gonna show two more things. People wanted to know unproduced. Okay, here's your teaser. This is some of the stuff that didn't get made. Some of it kind of evolved. So let's talk about. There's an Imperial probe droid. We saw it later on in the Movie Heroes line, I believe, but we never saw the pod. The AT-AT Commander originally was going to have a cap, an Imperial cap. That got cut, so you can kind of see what's included with that. And then the Tauntaun. This is another Brian Merton story where Brian was trying to figure out how to get an open belly on a Tauntaun to use in a future release. And because when it laid on its side, the arms and the legs didn't look right, he abandoned it. But that belly plug is still in that Tauntaun. Wow. So I'll kind of give you a look at those. I don't want to go into some of the other stuff. I'll do it real fast.
It's really tasty.
And then the other thing that we take a ton of pride in is we have a really awesome appendix. We have this card matrix that I know a lot of guys are like, oh, is this supposed to have a sticker? Does this not have a sticker? What does the card look like on the back? We answer that with every single figure. Wow. It is super comprehensive. We have samples of every single one of these from a super collector whose only focus has been carded. So, and we went over it and over it to make sure it's right. I think for the most part, we have. Let me jump in here so you can kind of see. We try to have all the cards when possible. So if there is a variation, I think the Vader one is a good one to show you. Yeah, so you can see we try to include all the cards when possible. But I think there may be one or two that we're missing, but I think for the most part we've captured every single card that is in there. So you can kind of look at it and know, yes, this exists and it's legit. Because I know there are guys peeling stickers off and things like that. So this will tell you if it's real or not.
Great. Yeah, that's just incredible. I was talking to one of the other collectors here at the con this weekend, and we were talking about how the secondary market value on some of these has just gotten so crazy, and we were sort of measuring, and we were like, okay, it's official. A mint on card vintage collection Weequay is officially more expensive than the original vintage release Weequay. I mean, the secondary market price on this is going through the roof, and it's just it doesn't seem to be slowing down. You just got this core of collectors that are just so thrilled by this. And guys, I want to thank you so much for your time today. This has just been incredible. I hope everyone's enjoyed the preview and, you know, sort of licking your lips at this point, waiting for May. I can't wait. And, you know, if you guys are ever back in Atlanta, I'd love to buy you a beer at some point afterwards, and maybe we can talk about some things we didn't see today. But thank you so much for your time today, guys. It's just been a pleasure. Just can't wait for this thing. So, but take care. Oh, there it is. Yeah, this is what it's supposed to look like, the finished product. As Derryl said earlier, this is one of one. This is sort of the mock-up case, and then of course inside the blank pages. But this thing is hefty.
the accurate page count, right, Rich? Yes. So this is you can see this
wow.
is a weighty book. This one's blank, so it'll weigh even more when all the ink is in. But it fits in this amazingly beautifully designed slipcase here that is meant to give you the feel of the original Kenner figure case. It's amazing, and I think, Rich, you have an even more updated graphic.
Yeah, so this has just been cleaned up. It's a little bit more vivid. You can see everything better. But yeah, we love the way this turned out. It looks like a case. Everyone that purchased one is going to have a numbered aluminum engraved handle. So yeah, we're really happy with the way these turned out.
And the finish here is inspired by other premium books that we have in our library. You know, this beautiful matte finish that's this like fabric finish. So Rich really you know, kind of worked with the vendors to come up with a range of options before narrowing down onto the final one that's just like this perfect fit. And then in addition, do you want to talk about you want to show the posters?
Yeah,
that's right. I forgot the posters. I can't believe I was trying to break here. We haven't even seen these posters yet.
Yeah, we brought a few good as we're getting closer to
so you can see
final
this
production.
Thing is massive. We shot this with Kim Simmons. He set it up just like he would have back in the day. Obviously the camera he used was a little bit more modern and digital, so we were able to kind of get this in a couple shots instead of days and days and days that this would have taken him.
And which backers get this one, Rich?
So anyone can purchase this. It's still available. If you haven't purchased it, you can still pick it up. I think the premium level backers will get this with their books, but it's available rolled. There's a signed edition that Kim did for I think it was the original 250 that purchased the slipcase. So I mean the figures are I would say maybe 3/4 scale of the real thing. So if you don't want to dip into buying a whole collection, this is a great alternative. Yeah, if you don't want to spend the $200 on that Weequay. And then the other thing that we did with Kim.
Oh, this is beautiful. This is just.
Oh, this is amazing.
This is to the actual size of the original that was a mail away Star Wars is Forever poster. The sand these green elements are from that original poster.
Wow.
And this stuff here, the tree and the mountains, are Kim's handiwork. So he built them the same way he would have done back in the day. It was incredible to pull these buckets of sand out of storage. And I was like, Kim, you kept this all these years? And he was like, yeah, you never know when you might need it again. And I was like, even these trees, and I've actually matched, you can see they have a little bit of wear to them, but I've matched these to some of his photos. So like you can see these things on classic Kenner boxes. It's incredible. Like,
wow. That's awesome. It came out so beautiful. When Rich first showed it to me, it's like the feeling of Kenner nostalgia just washed over me. And the photo is one thing, but then seeing the font match and everything just laid out. It's
trivia questions. Yep. Trivia questions have been updated. And the one thing that we were able to, it's a little difficult to see, but we got a silver ink done for this. So it is the same silver ink that they used on the original. So it's not just a gray. It's an actual silver ink that has some reflection and shine when you hold it to the light the right way.
Amazing.
And how are folks going to get this poster, Rich? It's going to be.
I think this one comes folded, just like the original did, and we have rolled versions that are available to purchase as well.
You guys are sucking me in here. I mean, I already had to go back and add this poster. Now I might have to go back and add the Kenner's Forever poster as well. It's just amazing work.
The level of reverence that Rich and Dave have really put into this is amazing on the photography side, and wanting to get it. Vintage has a certain standard to it. It's just the premium standard for the line. Everything from the figure to the packaging is meant to be premium, and that's the approach that the team has really given to make sure that everything is up to that standard. So it's just amazing stuff. Everything that Rich shows me as it comes off is just mind blowing. So
got the bookmarks here. Good.
Yeah, we've got the bookmarks, so you can see this is what the die cut will look like. We have a couple samples front and back, so they'll be cut nicely. They look awesome. We've got these will be cut. You can see the die cut for these. So these are the book plates. These will be signed by the three of us on the team plus Steve.
Great.
We've got some cover samples, so you can see what the cover will look like. So yeah, we've got.
Getting close.
Yeah, everything's here. We're just ready for them. We're just ready for them to send us our preview. Then we tell them, okay, we're good. Let's go.
This is great news, guys. Great news. I think it's going to be well worth the wait. I know that we're seeing so much chatter online. So many people are just like. It seems that most fans are just so accommodating and saying that, we'd rather you do it right and it take a little bit longer. And it's quite apparent that you guys are really putting a lot of love and attention into this, and couldn't be more excited.
We definitely appreciate that. We know it's been a long time coming for some of this stuff. We appreciate everyone's patience, and we're using the time. We've used the time the right way. It wasn't wasted. We've definitely tried to make sure that everything is perfect.
This is it. Guys, again, thank you so much for your time. This has just been a blast, and come on May. I don't think I've looked forward to a May this much since a Star Wars movie release. So.
Thanks to the fans for waiting. It's going to be amazing.
Awesome.
Can't wait.
Guys, thank you so much. It's nice having you. I hope this has answered some questions, guys, and you guys take care.